So my fiancé, male 33, comes from a well-off family, and I, female 29, come from a working-class family. My fiancé's family is nice, but they can't help throwing comments at me about how I might be a gold digger. For example, if he buys me something, they'll go, "Oh, Jason bought you that. You know what this looks like, right?" Or, "Wait, Jason paid for this?" Of course, only gold diggers make their partners pay for stuff all the time. Just saying. It's so demeaning, and my fiancé does nothing to stop it, especially now that he's in a bad place after losing his job, and since he's keeping it secret, then I'm the one paying for everything. This has been going on for 4 months. Last week, his parents invited us for dinner, and he insisted that we go, so we went. At the dinner table, his mom grabbed my hand, literally while I was eating, and looked at my bracelet and went, "Oh, this bracelet looks really nice. Did Jason pay for it?" I nodded and reminded her that he bought it for me as a birthday gift last year. She was like, wonder how much it costs. She then leaned back and said, "You know, I remember when my brother was dating this gold digger woman. She'd receive expensive stuff like this," pointing at the bracelet here for her birthdays. I was stunned. I cut her off and asked if she meant to say I was a gold digger. She threw her hands up and went, "I mean, if the shoe fits," while laughing awkwardly. Silence took over. I looked at my fiancé and he shook his head at me like, "What?" I snapped. I told her it was bold of her to imply I was a gold digger when I was providing for her unemployed son, who has been for 4 months now. They all looked shocked. She glanced at me in shock and his dad asked if it was true, and my fiancé just froze, but looked so angry. An argument ensued, dinner was cut short, and we had to leave after they started criticizing him. He had a rage fit in the car, just yelling and lashing at me. In my defense, I said that he sat by and let his mom continually imply that I was a gold digger, but he said that they never outright called me a gold digger, so it was all in my head. He said I still had no right to take advantage of his unfortunate circumstance to get back at his mom and expose him to the family. His parents went on about how disappointed they were, and now, as a result, he got disinvited from Thanksgiving. He blew up at me because of it this morning and kept saying I screwed him over so badly when he was just an innocent bystander. So am I the idiot for telling my fiancé's family that he's unemployed? Not the idiot. You should uninvite your fiancé from your wedding. He doesn't have your back. He's willing to lie to his family for months to protect his reputation. He's going to be willing to lie to you too, and this won't be the last time he blames you for the faults and actions of himself and others. Seriously, don't walk down that aisle. He's more than willing to have you be the bad guy, and not once has he tried to fix their perspective of you. Instead, he keeps it that way because it makes him seem better than you. If you have a baby with him, guess what? You're the gold digger that baby trapped him. Do you want to listen to that? Nah, that's too rash. Instead, OP needs to tell the family that she is a gold digger because that's what her son likes to call his intimacy partner. That'll shut them up. And it might be less embarrassing for that family than having one of those worthless unemployed people in the family. Gross. Shudders, why don't they just get a job? Seriously, do you want to marry into that? You deserve better. An innocent bystander? LOL. Bystander most certainly, but more impotent than innocent. This guy was happy to watch his family be cruel to you for months without challenging it or sticking up for you when he knew that you were the breadwinner. Then, he doubled down and made it all your fault when you called him out on it. This part where you describe his rage fit is scary, to be honest. OP, he is not in your corner and has no spine. He will allow his family to treat you like crap and teach your kids that you are unworthy of respect and dignity. I'd toss him before he makes your life a misery. I, male 34, recently bought a one-story house. Note that it was purchased solely by me, my wife didn't help save for it, I started saving for it before I even met her, and it's in my name. When my parents threw us a party for this happy occasion, Mom asked for a copy of the key in case of an emergency. I let her have it, which made my wife upset. She didn't say anything at the time, but she waited till we were alone and started arguing with me, saying I shouldn't have let my mother have a copy of the key. I said, why? Since my mother is known to respect privacy and is a very trusted family member. She said that she doesn't feel comfortable with the idea of someone else who's not a resident having a copy of the key. She also mentioned that my mother didn't pay a penny towards the house, so this should disqualify her from getting the key. I said it wasn't a big deal, but she persisted, saying I needed to take the key back. Quite frankly, this had me fuming. I pointed out that I'm the one who bought the house and it's my decision to decide who gets to have a copy of the key, end of the story. She screamed at me, saying that technically she contributed towards the house savings when she used to pay for our rent and daily expenses while I saved money. I told her that she was acting as if I put my mom's name on the title, which is ridiculous, but she said I have no respect for her opinions and keep undermining her input. We've been going back and forth on it since then. She's been letting me know that if I don't take the key back then, she'll do it herself. I think she's being irrational and unreasonable, acting like that over a copy of the house key. This decision I made could save us in an emergency, but she kept downplaying it. It's crucial to mention that there's no conflict between my mother and my wife. They're on near perfect terms, alright? I thought that I'd already established that above. You are the idiot. If you saved by letting your wife pay for rent and expenses, then you did not save, you freeloaded off your wife so that you could buy a house in your own name. That is not fair to your wife. How about for the next few years, you pay all the mortgage and expenses so she can put all her money in savings and buy her own house? Yep, OP, you are the idiot big time. This should read, my wife supported me financially and paid our rent and expenses so I could put all my money toward our house. Instead, I bought the house, denied her any rights to it because she's supporting me doesn't matter, and now I'm giving away keys to her home even though she isn't comfortable with it. Is anyone thinking of making financial sacrifices to enable their partner to buy a home in their name only? Then read this story and think again. You are the idiot for leeching off of your wife and giving her no rights to the home she enabled you to save for. Do you even like her? Wondering this too. His actions seem to show he doesn't like her or love her. I hope she finds someone else, that poor woman. OP, your attitude of, I paid for it isn't on. You're married. It's our home, not my home now. In any case, your wife is right. She absolutely has financially contributed to the property. She paid the rent, which allowed you to save. Pretty disgusting of you to dismiss this. Your mother having a key to your home is a big deal and something you and your wife need to be comfortable with. If you aren't mature enough to make joint decisions with your wife, you shouldn't be married. Your wife is right. You don't respect her at all. A huge red flag is that you only put the house in your name. You've basically used your wife to enable you to do what you want. My, female 32, father 56, lives with me. After my mom passed away a few years ago, he had trouble dealing with life and I tried to help him out. I had a spare room and I said he could stay there. My siblings and I cleaned up my parents' house and we rented it out with his 100% agreement. The money covers the mortgage and lets him contribute to my household budget for food and utilities. And he has a little money every month, so he doesn't have to go into his savings or retirement funds. He could go back to work, but he hasn't. I'm not a mental health professional, but he won't go to one either. I think he's just depressed, but I can't make that diagnosis. I work from home and occasionally meet clients for lunch or at their workplaces, so my car usually sits for days on end. My father got the idea that I didn't need a car for myself, and when my aunt's car broke down, he started letting her borrow mine without my permission. I told him that if he wanted to lend out a car, he should lend his car out. He drives a very nice full-size truck. He says that my aunt is uncomfortable driving it. I said I didn't care and needed my vehicle to be available. He said that family helps the family. I said my car was mine and not to be lent out. I spoke with my aunt and told her to stop asking for my car. He decided to test my patience. He trapped me in the garage with his truck and left the house one day when he knew I had a meeting. I had to Uber to the meeting. I was almost late. I was absolutely livid. When I got home, his car was still there, but my car was gone. My aunt needed it for appointments. I told him that it was time for him to move out. He isn't just inconveniencing me now, he's actively sabotaging my job. He cried that he was sorry and wouldn't do it again. I gave him one last chance. There were no problems until yesterday. He lent out my car so my aunt could visit her kid. He had had a key made. I saw that my car was missing and I didn't even ask. I called and reported it stolen. My car has a tracker in it because it's not paid off. It was easy to find. I, in the meantime, had turned off my phone and gone shopping. I was unavailable when everyone started calling me to tell the cops that my aunt had permission to take my car. I feel bad for wasting the cops' time, and my family says my aunt was traumatized. My dad is moving in with her now. I did drop the charges and clear everything up, but my family is still mad at me. I am mostly mad at my father, but my aunt bore the brunt. Not the idiot. Your aunt knowingly took your car without your permission. That is your car, not your father's. Your aunt is not innocent here. You told her not to use your car. Why can't she Uber to her appointments? Her schedule is not your responsibility. Now you have your car and your dad is moving in with her. I'd say that's a win-win. You've done way more than your share. Do you think Aunt will somehow find it within herself to drive your dad's truck and not feel uncomfortable now that it's her only option? Agreed, but you miss my favourite point. How is it no one had OP's number to ask about borrowing the car, but magically found it when they needed to get Aunt out of trouble with the cops? Amazing. To screw around is human. To find out is divine. I had to LOL at Family Helps Family. Hello? You're putting your dad up and taking care of his affairs. You didn't waste the cops' time. Your car was literally stolen. Just because it was stolen by someone you know doesn't mean it wasn't stolen. Furthermore, you specifically told them both to stop taking the car. I wouldn't have dropped the charges. Yeah, and Daddy has a nice new truck he could trade in for a couple of used vehicles. You know, since he's so adamant about family helping the family. And then there's the whole thing where he doesn't have the money to live on his own, but has a brand new vehicle. Frankly, they deserve each other, and you deserve space from them. I, 53 female, have known my daughter-in-law Layla, 26 female, for over 20 years. She lived in the same neighbourhood and went to the same school as my son, Sam, 27, where they became friends. They've been together for about 6 years and married for 2. Layla is currently 6 months pregnant with my first grandchild. At some point in her life, Layla had a traumatic experience involving food, which caused her to eat only 3 or 4 things for a long time, and she was diagnosed with an eating disorder. With Sam, she managed to expand her menu and is less scared to try new things. Typically, when Layla tries a new food and likes it, Sam celebrates it. We had a pre-Thanksgiving dinner this weekend as Layla and Sam were planning to have a small holiday with Layla's aunt in Greece. We get talking and I ask how they're doing and if they have any news, hoping they'll share something about my grandchild. Instead, Layla started talking about how she tried onion in that very nice Greek restaurant for the first time in years and how much she enjoyed the taste. I stopped her halfway there and said I don't think that trying an onion is an achievement and wanted to hear how my grandchild is doing and if they know the gender yet. Layla got really quiet and Sam told my husband and me they would be leaving. I've asked what's wrong and Sam had a go at me saying I'm being a massive idiot for not caring about Layla and her happiness, for putting her down and making her feel like an incubator for my grandbabies, and for her, eating new food is an achievement due to extremely traumatic past. He also said he's not sure if he wants to let me have access to my grandchild due to how I've treated the future mother. My husband agrees and doesn't see what I did wrong, but the rest of my kids are furious with me and tell me I should shut my mouth. Am I the idiot telling Layla that trying and eating an onion is not an achievement, and that I want to hear about my first grandchild's well-being instead? You are the idiot. You spend a lot of time explaining why, for Layla, eating onion is in fact a huge achievement, and then you dismiss it? Your son is right, you're treating her like an incubator, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go no contact. Lady, have some compassion. You could have said, that's great, I'm so glad you're overcoming your previous issues. And how's the pregnancy going? If you don't know the difference, you're probably a narcissistic idiot in everything you do. This is a human being in front of you, one that you've known for 20 years and should have some feeling for. She's pregnant with her or their first child. That child is also your grandchild, but do you understand that other people matter too? At least pretend, or you can expect no relationship with that grandchild or others. Layla isn't pregnant with your grandchild, she's pregnant with her child. The fact that you gatekeep what people consider news is very telling about who you are as a person. You don't care about your daughter-in-law's health and clear success in trying other foods. You just care about her baby that you, I'm sure, think is your do-over baby. No, it's not, and I'm so glad that your son saw you for who you are and supports his wife accordingly. If they limit your access to their child, it will be deserved. I, 23 female, just got out of a long-term relationship with Mike, 24 male. We dated for 2 years. We did mid-distance, so we didn't see much of each other. There was a miscommunication and I cheated on him with a friend. He found out via a mutual friend, so we called it off. I know what I did was wrong, but this isn't about that. Mike left a few of his things at my house and asked me to visit him or at least meet me halfway to drop them off. I refused. Why should I travel for hours to drop his things off? He also said that because he spent so much money visiting me toward the end of our relationship, Throughout we travelled 50-50, but I could never find the time to go to him, so he came to me and said he didn't mind, that I should be willing to do this. I still maintained my position and told him I wouldn't be travelling. Then he asked me to mail his things to him, but because of the value of the items I refused, as I didn't want the blame if they got lost in the mail. I was venting to my friends and they said that this is a selfish thing to do while it's understandable I don't want to travel and see him, especially when he asked me to mail them and cover the cost so I don't need to travel. So, am I the idiot? OP, you are a huge idiot and had moved on from him the moment you cheated. And now you want to be more of an idiot and not send him his property, but make excuses that don't hold water. You're a toxic, self-centered person. Do one good thing for someone in your life and send him back his stuff. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on, there was a miscommunication and I cheated on him. Imagine cheating on someone, then doing all sorts of mental gymnastics to justify it, then stealing their stuff because you're too lazy to drive to them, and then coming on here thinking you're in the right. Given her attitude, I don't think OP will become a nice human being anytime soon. What are you talking about? There was just a simple miscommunication where she tripped and fell into another man's bed. I'm sure she's a saint. OP, you're just making excuses now and trying to get revenge for him ending it even though you cheated. Find some decency within yourself and do the right thing.